One of the things I've been able to do is to help people to find employment, not just employment, but jobs that pay well, regardless of their background, their lack of experience or education. So what I'm going to do on this video is to go through one of the books that I have written, and I'm going to share some of the information with you. We have the table of contents, Chapter 1, Introduction, Chapter 2, 12 categories of high-paying job opportunities. We talk about location, union jobs, specialized industries, government jobs, adverse circumstances, commission jobs, overtime, gratuity, etc. We go into great detail about that. The introduction, we talk about job options, what is your price, jobs versus business, on-the-job training opportunities, large industry employers, and your natural career path. Chapter 3, we deal with education and training, myths and facts, 11 hardcore facts about education. You know what? I think I'm going to go straight to Chapter 3 and base this particular video primarily on Chapter 3. Chapter 4, we talk about credentials and certifications. Chapter 5, we talk about educational requirements for various high-paying jobs. Credentials and certifications, we're talking about computer certifications, certification and practical uses, how to decide between a degree or a certification, how to get more information on certifications. Chapter 6, we deal with alternative training. Chapter 7, experience and 10 sources of it. But I'm going to skip straight to Chapter 3. Let's see. Okay, that deals with government jobs. Let's see. "11 hardcore facts about education." Since we're here, let's just deal with that. 11 hardcore facts about education that someone may not want you to know. So I have a quiz here. True or false? You cannot get a good job without a college degree. True or false? Go to high school, get good grades, then go to college and get your degree, then you'll be successful. True or false? All the new jobs in the future will require a college degree. We've heard that a lot. Is that true or false? Most people with a college education earn more than people without one. Is that true or false? You cannot get a good job without at least a high school diploma. Is that true or false? In order to be successful at anything, you need a college education. Is that true or false? In order to be successful, you need higher education. Is that true or false? It may sound like the same thing, but it's not. A 4-year degree means more to an employer than any unaccredited certification obtained in a little 6-week to 6-month crash course. Is that true or false? I'll tell you right now, the answer is no. A person with a degree from a prestigious school is better equipped to do the job than a person who is self-taught. Is that true or false? In order to get a prestigious professional job or career, you must have a college degree. Most of the really successful people in the world owe their success to their education. Okay? I'll tell you right, and then we go through all of the questions and answers in detail. You cannot get a good job without a college degree. I say false. Although a college education is advisable for a number of reasons, and it is essential for some occupations, obviously, such as being a doctor or engineer, things like that, it is certainly not essential to getting a good job. And there are even exceptions to that rule about doctors and engineers, by the way. This also depends a lot upon what you consider as a good job. Are you basing that on the title, the financial reward, job satisfaction, good companies with good benefits? If so, there are many good jobs that meet all those criteria and even pay better than many jobs that do require a college degree. That's why so many people with degrees are working on those jobs. One should evaluate themselves to determine just what they really want to do and have the aptitude to do, and then pursue whatever educational path is necessary to make that goal a reality. As you'll see in this book, many trades simply cannot be learned in a traditional school setting. Take the path that will ultimately get you to your chosen destination. So let's see, all the new jobs will require college education. Let's just go to that one. False. We've heard this remark, but there is simply no truth to it. There are those who try to convince us that technology is taking over the world and that all jobs of the future are going to involve technology and therefore a college education. The truth is that even many of the more technological job skills can be obtained through other avenues other than a traditional four-year college. In addition to that, in this book, you will see the results of extensive research showing you where the new jobs will be and what is required to get them. Many of the new jobs will require some form of education, but as you'll see, college is not the only and sometimes not the best way of getting it. You can't get a good job without a high school diploma. That's false. Most people with a college education earn more than people without one. True. This is true, however, for a number of reasons. One reason is that for many, college is just a natural progression from high school, and there is never a consideration of any other options. Most people who are goal and success oriented tend to have attended at least some college. The increased income may or may not be directly attributable to one's college education or anything learned through this process. Oftentimes it is not. And certainly it is true that most of the better paying professional careers do in fact require a college education. To be successful, you need a college education. False. In order to be successful, you need higher education. True. Big difference. Let's just go over the two. In order to be successful, you need a college education. False. There are many avenues by which you may get an education. Let me blow this up a bit. By which you may get an education that can lead to your success. A typical college education is only one of your options, and certainly not always the best one that is available to you. What is best depends upon a lot of other factors, including what you are trying to actually accomplish. The reality is that there are a number of alternative sources for getting the necessary education needed to earn the type of money that we are talking about here. Example, an independent truck driver who owns his own rig and pulls in over $200,000 a year certainly needs an education, but not the type learned in a typical college. This person needs an education via a trucking school and first-hand knowledge of the business. And by the way, let me digress for a moment. In the state of California, for example, we have security guards that average over $160,000, $180,000 a year with overtime. These are security guards. They work in prisons. They're called prison guards, but they certainly did not need a traditional four-year college education to get that job. And if they're making $160,000 a year, that's like 3 and 4 times more than what many college graduates are earning, by the way. Sometimes more than that. True or false? In order to be successful, you need higher education. True. But it does not have to be what is considered as conventional education. The fact is that there are a number of alternative sources for getting the necessary education needed to earn the type of money that we are talking about. Your educational goals should involve specialization in some field or aspect of work that sets you apart and makes you a unique and valuable asset to an employer, or even better, directly to your customer. Read the sections on education and training. Okay? True or false? A 4-year degree means more to an employer than any certification obtained in a little 6-week to 6-month crash course. Some people would think that's true, but the truth is, it's false. That's the fact. This may be true in many cases, but it is absolutely not true categorically. Therefore, the statement must be considered as untrue. For example, a person with an engineering or computer science degree from the most prestigious school in the country will often be deemed by employers to be less qualified than an individual with just a specific certification, even if that person has little or no higher education, formal education. For example, suppose that the employer requires a Microsoft CSE, that stands for Certified Systems Engineering, or A++ certification, a Novell, C++, that's a programming language, or some other specific computer certification of that nature. Your 4-year engineering or computer degree, even a master's, may not be enough to beat out a person who has the specific certification that they are looking for, even if that's all the education that they have. It won't even matter much to the employer if they earned it online or in a 6-week crash course, as long as they do have it. So in this instance, a high school student or even a high school dropout who obtains the specific certification and training that the employer needs may be deemed as more qualified than the job candidate with the 4-year general engineering or computer science degree. This is especially true when the applicant with the college degree has no specific knowledge of the systems that the employer needs expertise in. True or false? A person with a degree from a prestigious school is better equipped to do the job than a person who is self-taught. False. Again, this may be generally true, But because it is not always true, we must consider this statement as untrue. For example, all the education in the world cannot make up for a lack of talent or skill, and it cannot necessarily overcome the advantage of a dedicated person who has that talent or skill, regardless of how they got it. Conversely, some of the best and most successful writers, dancers, singers, poets, musicians, artists, programmers, hackers, designers, and experts in various fields, even complex ones, have been completely self-taught. Certainly, they learn from others and may have done extensive study independently, but there is no one school, person, or institution that can claim credit for their abilities or skill. Therefore, they would be considered as self-taught. Most of the really successful people in the world owe their success to their education. True, true, absolutely true. Okay? It almost sounds like a contradiction. It's not. Because what I'm stressing is education. Excuse me. What I am stressing is education. I am just also stressing the fact that there are alternative ways of getting it. This is absolutely positively true if you understand the term education in its broadest form. Education is, by definition, the action or process of educating or of being educated. Educated is giving evidence of training or practice based on some knowledge of fact. If we accept Webster's dictionary definition of the term education, then this is a true statement indeed. However, if we wish to broaden the term to mean a traditional college education exclusively, then this is simply not even remotely true. Most truly successful people, if honest, will admit that their formal education was beneficial and helped them to find themselves. They will also admit that finding themselves and developing a real passion for something was one of the biggest contributors to their ultimate success. Most will admit, with the exception of doctors, accountants, lawyers, engineers, architects, and some other specific professions, that they did not get the tools for success exclusively in a traditional formal college education. They had to get the tools on their own. Many of the world's most successful people, such as Bill Gates, CEO of Microsoft, and the world's wealthiest man at the time, actually that wasn't even true then, but realizing, in America, yes, when I wrote this book, that was a number of years ago, realizing the limitations of college, they even dropped out so that they could pursue their dreams unencumbered by school. Many others who became extremely successful by getting out and pursuing their interests later went back to school to complete a college degree just so that they could receive the credential and the respect that they had already earned by doing, and also so they could teach what they already knew. Warren Buffett is a good example of that. And then we have the CEO of Virgin, and that's Sir Richard Branson, who owns Virgin Airlines, Virgin Mobile Telephone Service, and Virgin Records, and a lot of other companies. He's actually a high school dropout who got his first start working in a record store. There are quite a number of examples like that. We have some of the most successful radio talk show personalities on the air, people like Tom Likas, who talk about the fact that most of the time, if you go to a broadcasting journalism school, that those are not the people who really become successful, and that's not where he got where he is, and he earns, I don't know, maybe $2.5 million a year, $3 million, something like that, doing what he does. And this is true for quite a few people. I have a good friend who's a orthopedic surgeon. Obviously, he could not have become, he's a prominent, well-known orthopedic surgeon. He could not have become an orthopedic surgeon without his education, of course, obviously his formal education. But his real success and financial rewards have come and will come from the other things he's doing. And one of them is producing films. So when I spoke to him, I asked him, I said, I know you went to school to be a doctor. How did you get into filmmaking? He said, well, I went to a library and I purchased a stack of books about this high, and he put his hands about 2 feet apart. He said, I took the books home, I read them, I studied them, I started doing what I needed to do. He said one of the books showed me how to raise the money I needed, another one showed me how to, then he just broke it down. So basically he was self-taught in something that made him far more successful than being an orthopedic surgeon.